All right, I'm going to record. Okay, so we are recording now, so we'll be in good shape here. Okay, so what my thought here is to kind of start from the left, the navigation buttons at the top, and just move over all the way to the end, and this will kind of give you a full scope of what the potential options are with the web portal. Does that sound like a good plan?
Sounds like a great plan.
Okay, so first and foremost, I recommend pulling this up and using Google Chrome. The reason is Chrome has an add-in that you can download from the Chrome store. So if you look in the upper right-hand corner, there is a link at the top that is a logo for our company. And if you go to the Chrome store and you type in Spectrum VoIP, it'll pull up Spectrum VoIP Click to Call. If you add that to your Chrome browser, then you right click and go to Options, which will prompt you to log in with your same username and password that you use to access the web portal here. Once you've done that, you just close the window out, and then every 10-digit phone number on any website that you go to becomes a click-to-call number. So if I clicked on this hyperlink that's highlighted in yellow, my phone will dial that number.
Your desk phone.
What's that?
Your desk phone.
You said my desk, what?
That your desk phone, we'll call it, not your computer.
Yes, desk phone, yes.
You said to add Spectrum VoIP from the Google Chrome store and then right click, and what did you say after that?
Right click on the logo. Once you add it, you'll see this blue cloud logo, and you'll right click and you just select options. But do you see in the top right, it says Spectrum VoIP Stratus Click to Call?
Yep.
That's the one that you want to click on. There's actually two of them, but that's the one that you want.
Okay.
Okay. And then, so once you click options, it'll ask you for a username and password, and that ties your click to call to your extension.
Okay.
Okay. And so that's the first thing I wanted to point out on the web portal. But as you know, once you go to stratus.spectrumvoip.com, that's how you access the web portal here on any browser. You can even do this from your smartphone. You can do it on any browser, but I recommend Chrome because Google plays a little bit better with others. You know, Microsoft is a little more difficult. They don't have an open source kind of browser like Chrome does. So right here on the home page, you'll be able to see all of your active phone calls that are in place. So here's your call into the bridge right now. And a manager, now the stuff I'm showing to you first will be what an office manager will be able to see. And that'll probably be the level that both of you have access to the system with. Okay. Now, on the right-hand side, there is a listen in speaker button. If we click this, there would be a window that would pop up on the right-hand side down here next to where our call is that's in place. That would allow you to listen to the conversation that you click the speaker on. So we could listen to Cynthia's call right now, or we could coach, or we could join. That's the monitor, coach, and join feature that we offer with our service. And all of that, it would be done from the window that would pop up down on the right here. Okay, so that's great for...
Just to be clear, when you say monitor or join, you're joining the phone call.
Yes.
And are you joining it through the computer or through your phone?
Through your phone.
Okay.
Okay. So the monitor, coach, and join. Coaching would mean that you're talking to the employee, but the person at the other end can't hear.
Nice.
Okay. So it's great for training purposes, especially for like new employees.
Right.
So again, you can see now there's actually 4 calls in place, and we could monitor, coach, or join any of those phone calls.
Okay.
On the right side, you're just going to see a list of all your devices. The registered devices, this just shows your devices that are currently registered to your domain, the total number of devices, your auto attendance, queues, conferences, and phone numbers. You've got a listing of your current stats for today, this month, and the previous month. And this is not your reporting area. This is just your homepage information. And you'll notice every time we hover over a term, it's actually going to give you a definition of what it is. So anytime there's something that you don't know what it is, you can just hover over it and it'll give you a definition.
Perfect.
Now, on the bottom, this is a graph, and actually your login might be reversed. Your graph may be on the top and your calls on the bottom. Either way, it's still going to give you the same information. But you can see, like this particular day, you had a pretty big spike in calls. Our graph it's real heavy on Monday through Friday and light on Saturday and Sunday. You're obviously a little more even than we are with our call volume, but you can see like on certain, maybe every Monday, maybe you get slammed with calls. This is a really good indication on this graph if you should staff accordingly to handle that call volume. Okay. So that's primarily what this graph is for. Now, let's jump over to the call center tab. And what this is going to do, this is going to be where you're going to have a lot of reporting tools, and you're going to have the ability to manage queues and hunt groups, and be able to add and remove information from it. So give it a second while it's loading here. But do both of you know? Do you know what a queue is?
I don't know if we use queues.
Okay. Well, I see that you have 13 of them.
Okay.
Right here. So
you've got calling it something different.
Okay, and that's precisely right. A lot of people don't even know they have a queue, but a queue is basically an organized way to handle high call volume. So when we set up a queue, it routes calls to groups of phones so that you can handle that call traffic without having calls go to voicemail or just continuing to ring or whatever the case might be. Okay.
We just call those ring groups. That's why I wasn't understanding.
And the ring groups are a type of queue. And I'm sorry it's taken so long. The technicians told me earlier today that there was a little bit of slowness because they were doing an update, and I didn't realize it was going to be this slow.
Okay.
So here we go. Okay, it's popping up. So these are the examples of some of the queues that you have. Agent services. You've only got one person in there. You've got a alarm company ring group for looks like probably all of your phones. Whatever this might be, BAT, phone hunt group, bat phone overflow hunt group. So you've got some queues in place here, and weekends overflow. So there's 35 agents in that. Okay. So if you just click on the agents, you yourself can come in here and edit who's in this group. I would personally leave creating new queues to us. Let us create them for you, but then you can come in here and manage them. So if you want to add someone to this, whatever this weekend's overflow group is, click add agent, and then you type in the agent's name or number, and then just check mark a few of these settings and click save agent.
Perfect.
If you want to remove someone, so let's say you decide I don't want Carson to get calls on the weekends anymore, just click the red X and remove whoever that is. Okay. So again, this stuff, I call this a user's portal. There's not any major programming requirements that you're needing to do here. I want to point out that there's currently 6 people holding for your people to answer these queues. There's Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 6. So there's 2 calls holding here, so we can see the phone number of these calls. Now, these calls are hung. This is not going to be correct. So we have, that's kind of a little weird bug right now. That reporting is coming back inaccurate, but you can see how many calls are waiting. Okay, just by, when you come to the portal here, if you want to open this up and just kind of see some of your activity, here's your average wait time before someone picks up that call, the call, your average handling time. So this is the average amount of time, that's 1 minute and 27 seconds that your people that answer the calls in the queues, that's the average amount of time that they spend on the phone for queued calls. Your abandoned percentage is the percentage of calls that came in that hung up before they were answered. And so that is spelled out here by, this is your total call volume. And then these are the number of calls that were answered, and the difference between these two is that 4.3%. Okay, so this is just kind of a snapshot grid of what's going on today in your queues. Scrolling down here, I'm just going to click on yours, Tony.
Okay.
You can click, hover over your extension, and then you click on stats, and then it's going to calculate a very specific report for you. And this is actually really good because this is telling me that you are a part of multiple queues and you've answered calls today in multiple queues. So you've had 13 calls that have come to your extension 250, which is 81% of your calls today. You've had to the queue that is extension 221, you've had 1 call, which is 6.3%. And then the queue 8000, you've had 2 calls that you took today, which is 12.5% of your calls. Okay. And then the number of calls per day over the last 10 days is graphed out here. And the number of calls per hour over the last 24 hours is graphed out on this graph at the top. And then all calls today, all your information is listed here. Okay. I don't know if any of this is really helpful to you because I don't know what you track and you don't track, but I want to show it to you so that you know what it is.
Perfect.
Okay. Now, when you're in multiple queues like you are, those will be listed here. And what will happen is you can set priority levels for certain agents in the queues. And so you may not want to take all the calls first because you may want to have someone else who doesn't have as much job responsibility as you to take the volume of calls. But if for some reason everyone else is busy, you could be set at a lower priority level to where you'll still get that call, but if everyone else is busy. And we call that skills-based routing or priority routing. And as soon as this, okay, perfect. So as soon as this comes up here, so you're in just 2 queues here, but let's say Tony, you don't want to get the calls first. You want everyone else to get the call before you. So you set yourself as a priority too. So your phone won't ring unless everyone else is busy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it won't ring at all? Ever?
It would ring only if everyone else who's set as a priority 1 is busy.
So
okay.
Hypothetically, if everybody, what happens if someone's not here that day?
Well, then they wouldn't be logged into the queue, so they wouldn't get those calls. Now, if you stay logged in all the time, so you don't log in and log out like an agent would, then their phone is going to ring. Maybe it's a ring all. I mean, I guess, do all your phones ring at the same time under this queue here?
No, we have ring groups and ring timing type thing.
Okay. So if that person's phone is logged in, it's going to ring along with everyone else's. Okay. Now, if you have these ringing in groups in a certain order, which I didn't go into the details of the queues and how they're programmed, I'm just showing you options here. Okay, so these are easy to adjust, as you can see. And I just wanted you to be able to see these options.
Okay.
Okay, so the programming that's done within the queue itself is separate from this.
Okay.
Okay, now, so that's, say that again?
If you didn't hit save, probably.
Oh, did you not hit save on that? Because you had it on 2.
No, I didn't click save. I didn't want to change it. Yeah, we can change it for you if you want to, but I figured if you want to, I mean. So,
Nope, you're good.
okay. So the reports tab, and this might take a little bit longer to pull up. I'm sorry that there's a little slowness here, but the reports tab is where all of your reporting mechanisms are. And there's going to be 5 types of reports that'll pull up here. And these reports are built into our system as reports that you can pull anytime that you want to. And so these reports are going to be, the first one is going to be your Q stats. And the Q stats report will let you see how all of your queues are performing, all 12 of them. And it's going to give you specific criteria that you can put into a table that you're able to download or print. And that download would put it into an Excel file. And I've never seen it go this slow before, so I apologize. But once you create your report, you can then, you know, again, as I said, print it or download it into an Excel file. The second type of report is going to be your agent stats. And the agent stats report is going to list all of the employees that are listed in queues, and it's going to give you all their stats, how many phone calls they took in the queue, how many calls, outbound calls, how many inbound calls, how many calls they let go to voicemail, and did they forward, all this criteria. Okay, so the Q stats report, the first one that I mentioned, is listed here, and you can see the table at the bottom. These are listing all of your queues, and then all of the stats. So the first one is your call volume. The second is the number of calls that were handled, and so forth and so on. To add and remove these criteria to your table, just select or deselect it. Okay, put a check mark in it, and then when you click outside the square, it'll recalculate this report. When you're ready to print or download, simply click on the print or the download tab in order to get that report. Okay, so pretty simple, you know, when it comes to some pretty advanced reporting tools. If you only want to see your graph at the top for one particular queue, just check mark that queue, and it won't take the average of all of them. It'll actually just show you the one specific queue.
Okay.
Now, as I'd mentioned before, we have your agent stats, and that's going to look exactly like this report. Instead, it's going to list your agents and all of their criteria, their specific information. Your agent availability report is going to list all of the agents, the same agents, but it's going to actually calculate how long they've been logged in or logged out or in break or lunch. Now, my guess from what you're saying is you don't ever log in and log out, right?
No, we don't.
Okay, so we will certainly skip over that one. Your dialed number.
For just a second.
Sure.
I'm so sorry. I love all of this reporting and statistics stuff, but I'll be 100% transparent with you. We're never going to use it.
Okay.
It's more like a call center type thing.
Yes.
So that we can utilize Lisa's time a little better. Do you mind punching to the users and the
yes.
audit? That would be awesome.
Absolutely. And you know, I probably should have asked that. I just started going through the entire portal here without asking you that. So on the users tab here, this is where all of your extensions will be listed. So anytime you need to see someone's extension, then you can see their extension number, the department that they are listed in, their access level to the system. So Shelly is an office manager, so is Nathan, and so is Amy. So they're all listed as office managers on your system. So in order to edit someone, all you do is you click on that person's extension, and I'll just click on Amanda. And so if Amanda leaves and someone else takes her place, type in the new name, click save, and you're done. Now, your login name that you use for the portal and also for the click to call and also for the app this is the login name, and then you can reset the password by going to this advanced tab. All right. Now,
so
Lisa,
login to the portal is their extension at rhodesteam.com.
Yes.
Perfect.
And every user has this login name, the same login name.
What would the exception to your extension? That would change.
Exactly.
Or like matron is going to have PinFed or no?
No, it's all going to be Rhodes Team.
Okay.
Now, Lisa, you may or may not be able to see this. I don't recall what access level you'll have, but this is how you change someone's access level to the system. And everyone's either going to be a basic user or an office manager. Okay, the call center stuff we'll skip over. Now, this is showing you where calls are either recorded or not recorded. So you can click yes or no. The company directory, this comes on if you have an automated attendant that comes on, say, after hours, and you want someone to do a dial by name directory. This is going to list in the directory. Okay. Now, and announce in audio directory, that's going to announce your pre-recorded name or extension number when someone dials that in. Okay. So here's your caller ID name. Here is your Amanda's outbound caller ID number. Now, these are all of your phone numbers that you have with us. You can select any of them and make that one someone's outbound caller ID on their phone. Okay, so that's how you change an outbound caller ID.
Okay.
At the bottom here, we'll skip over all this. At the bottom here, this is Amanda's voicemail to email address. If you want to copy another email, you click add another email. And then it'll go, yeah, those voicemails will then go to 2 places.
Great.
Like that.
Great.
Okay. So if someone says, I forgot my voicemail pin, you can come down here and reset it for them.
Perfect.
Okay. So pretty easy. Just kind of follow the screen and you'll be able to see what options you have there. Answering rules, first, you're able to set the number of rings to someone's phone before it goes to voicemail, and each ring is 5 seconds. So you simply click on it and decide how many rings you want. You can set rules for each extension, and there's already some rules set up for this particular extension, so we can look here and see what that is. And there's really not. This is just it's just going to ring. Amanda doesn't have it ringing outside to any additional extensions or numbers, but if you wanted to, you could have, for example, you can have Amanda's phone ring her extension and her cell phone at the exact same time, or it'll ring her cell phone after a 2-second or 10-second delay.
Got it. This is not where the zero transfer would be, though, right?
No, that is different. That's transferring out of voicemail, and we're about to look at that here. Okay. So on the voicemail tab here, this is going to, now, Lisa, I have what's called a super user access, so I can get into my customers' extensions and be able to do trainings like this. So you may not see all of this, but The operator forward is what we're talking about, where it forwards out to Amanda's cell.
Okay.
And that's where this is here. So you can see, and then when we're in the main users tab, there's a separate extension 4268, which says Amanda's cell forward. That's where you can tell how that's forwarding to her cell phone.
Okay. So forward just indicates a cell phone.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, Amanda's got 6 voicemail messages in her voicemail box. So she's using 2.8 megs of her 10 meg voicemail box. You can see this, like if Amanda goes on vacation and forgets to record her greeting, you can come in here and click manage greeting and record a new greeting for her. Okay. And then voicemail to email. So she's got it set what I like, which is voicemail to email and move to trash. So what this is now whenever she gets a voicemail, it's going to be emailed to her email address and then automatically deleted. So she probably doesn't even know she has 6 voicemails in here. So if you wanted to, you could clear her voicemails for her by clicking clear messages. Okay?
Hang on one second. Eric, 1 second.
Yes.
It's Jenny that needs her. She can only talk, that's the only person she's allowed to talk to. Okay. But just call Jenny from one of these desks. So sorry.
That's okay. Periodically, I get people asking me if they can find out the MAC address on someone's phone for one reason or the other. I'm just specifically clicking on Amanda's. I can see the model number of her phone, the IP address that her phone is currently registered to. Okay, that's probably your office IP. And then here's the MAC address of that phone.
Gotcha.
Okay. And then under the advanced tab, this is where I was mentioning earlier that you could reset someone's login password. Just hit force password reset, and it'll send them an email with instructions to reset it. Conferencing, I know have one, so you have a conference bridge here that you can use, and so anytime you need to access it, all you do is click on extension 100 and or dial 100 at your phone, and then you can then click on show participants, and you're able to see who's in the conference bridge, how long. You can mute people and remove people. And then if you're in a conference bridge and you want to add someone in, you can dial their phone number or extension and then hit plus, and that'll add them to the bridge. So you can add more conference bridges. Probably the easiest thing to do is just send us a help desk ticket and we'll add it for you.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay. Your automated attendants, as I mentioned, are what comes on typically like after hours. You have a helpline auto attendant. A lot of people set up like an auto attendant for like, say, Christmas. So you can send your phone number automatically to your Christmas automated attendant so that customers hear that you're not there and they get options to leave messages for people or dial extension numbers. The manage the audio portion, you click this here and it lets you record that greeting. And then if you want to change where the calls are routed to, this helpline is routing calls to outside numbers, as you can see here. But we can add options just by clicking on the number. And then, you know, where do you want option 4 to go to? You want it to go to a company directory, a voicemail, external number, like all these are external numbers, but we can send this one to a user. Like if we want to send option 4 to go to Tony, we could do that. Okay. I'm going to skip over the queues because that's more call center stuff. Time frames, as you can see, you've got several types of time frames that get used on certain things like your queues and your auto attendants. So like special dates, on this particular date, calls are going to go to this queue. Okay, so you've got like a holiday routing. You've already got that here. So these have already been programmed in.
I'm curious. Can you touch on that just for 1 second? I'm curious this holiday one, what specifically it would be used. So this is when we're out of the office. Oh, these are holidays when we're closed.
And how do we know for sure that's set up? I mean, like,
well, I mean, obviously getting a handle on what has already been programmed in here would be a pretty good idea. You can see here for this holiday, you've got 2 different dates that have been programmed in here for one reason or the other. I obviously I'm seeing all this for the first time, but you know, these have been used for something. I don't know what BAT special is, and I don't know what this generic holiday is used for either.
so if we were to set up the phones to automatically, like for January 1st, 2019, then when come midnight, it would automatically go to that time frame group?
Yeah. So New Year's, for example, you've got days of the week, which are your business hours, and you've got specific dates, which are like holidays. So if we want to do a specific date, we could come in here for January 1, and we've got a New Year's route now, and I just saved it, so it'll now be listed in your time frames here. So now we've got a New Year's, and then we've created the time frame. We just need to route it, and that would be done in your inventory where your phone numbers are.
Okay.
Hey,
Okay.
Eric.
Yes.
This one on time frames, where are those calls going during that time? Like we have these time frames where we're saying specific date ranges or whatever, but
Yes.
during that date range, where are the calls going? Because I don't see anywhere in here where it says where it's routing to.
Right. So under the inventory tab here, we're going to go to, like, I'm just going to choose the first number here as an example. You've got your time frame and caller ID prefix. See here. Oh, this is a different area. You want to, well, you can come in here and do it here as well. So you can send that call to like a pre-recorded auto attendant, or like we just mentioned before, like for New Year's Day or for 4th of July, you can pre-record that, and here's where you would select to go to an auto attendant on that particular date and time.
Okay.
Here.
Hey,
this is separate from that. Yes.
I don't, and maybe it's my access level, but I don't have access to inventory.
Oh, it might be your access level. I didn't click on your extension earlier, but let me see. I didn't see your name in the first group. You're probably on page 2, or maybe it's further at the bottom. Let's look at page 2. Well, actually, what we can do is just type in your name, Tony. Okay. So let's see here. You're set as an office manager. So you may, I'll have to ask Jeff if that's something he disabled for some reason. But you don't have an inventory tab when you log in?
I'm sorry. There is an inventory tab there. It just took an extremely long time to open.
Oh, okay. I was getting confused.
Yeah.
You threw me for a loop there.
Sorry, so sorry.
That's okay. So just getting back to on the music on hold, if you want to add more hold music, I don't know what these are or what they're used for, since I'm seeing them here for the first time, but you've got several different hold musics. You can click add music and upload it yourself. So you just name it. So that you've music on hold 7, you know, and then you add it by just clicking browse and attaching it and clicking upload. Okay. Call history tab is used to search for calls. So you can see here are the listing of the most recent calls in your office as of a minute or 2 ago. And if any of these are recorded, then you'll see that the little speaker highlights, giving you the option to listen. So if we wanted to listen to it, which I won't do that here, we can click play and listen to that phone call. And if you wanted to download it, you could click the download button to download that call.
Okay.
Now, if a manager is going through and listening to a new employee's calls and they want to make some notes, you can make a disposition like this was a bad. You can search by a certain date and time range. You can search by the user, by the caller ID of the phone number, or even by a call type like inbound, outbound, or missed calls. So pretty straightforward. You've only got two buttons here. You've got your filters to find your calls, and then you've got your export so you can export that information.
Okay, let's just touch really quick before we get off here. Let's go back to the user tab, because this is what she's using most often, and just see if there's anything else in here or on here that could be helpful to her, like the fact that there's two users. One is for call forwarding and one is for the person. For example, this Amanda Bell, she has a regular extension, and then she also has Amanda, call forwarding. So do you want to talk to her about how that happens, or is that something that she can do, or is that something that you guys need to do?
Yeah, so what we're going to find here under the answering rules is that this one is always being forwarded to her cell phone. Okay, so what was done here is they clicked always forward to her cell. Okay, so nothing else was done here other than it was left as the time frame is left as default, and then that is always being forwarded to a cell phone. So that the default rule that was in here, whoever created this for Amanda, they clicked edit, and then they clicked to forward to the cell. There's nothing with voicemail, phones, or advance that was done. None of that was done. So when that forward was done, that was all. I mean, none of this has anything to do with anything. So none of this means anything because it's only being forwarded to a cell phone.
Is this something that Lisa would create if we, in theory, we lost a person? She's now reassigning the phone to someone new.
Right.
And does she go in and create this additional Amanda call forwarding thing, or is that something you guys do? Or does she just go over top of whose it used to be and change the name?
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. So Amanda Bell has technically two extensions. She has her regular extension, which is here, and then she also has her forward, which this allows us to route out with a zero prompt from the voicemail. And so what you would do is you would change the name on the extension when you click on it here, and then you would go in and change the name and the cell phone here.
And if it is a new phone and a new user and not someone that left, this is something that we submit a ticket for.
Well, yeah, the one thing we have to limit a little bit, unfortunately, is as far as your control is concerned, is being able to add a user. So you won't see this add user, because then you would be able to add as many extensions as you want, and that's actually how we get paid. So sure. we kind of have to do that.
How come Anthony's not on this list? Sure does. It's under a different extension. It's under Denise's old extension.
Okay, I don't see an Anthony in here. Excuse me. Yeah, I don't see an Anthony in here. So that extension, you'd have to look up the extension, like find out if Anthony has a phone, find out what extension he's using, and then we would need to edit that name.
Okay, out of curiosity, so he's in there. He's just under AJ. So out of curiosity, because he took an agent's phone extension, the other part of that extension is still in there, the call forwarding. So Denise is still in here for
because I didn't know she had two extensions.
280 call forwarding. So do we just need to delete this?
Delete which one? The forward?
Yeah, because it says Denise, extension 280, call forwarding. Well, that 280 is now AJ, and he does not get call forwarding.
Okay, if so, AJ, where is AJ's extension in here? I don't see.
280.
So he just type in AJ at the top.
Okay. Okay, so we'd go to AJ's extension, and AJ may or may not have a forward out from the voicemail.
He doesn't need it though. So can we just delete that one?
See how this? Yeah. That's what he's talking about.
Delete it though. If he doesn't need it.
Hold on. Calm down. Because this is his regular extension right now. This is not his call forwarding. But he's saying because this is in his regular extension right now, if you push 0, it's going to go to Denise's cell.
Gotcha.
Yes, that's exactly right, Tony.
So we would want to take that operator forward out and put it back to the front desk probably, which is, I guess, 8,000. Does that sound accurate?
Let's see. That's going to the ring group for the people, I guess, that get the inbound calls.
Perfect. That's where it should go.
Does that work good?
That works perfect. Then the second part of that would be, do we need to delete the Denise's call forwarding one that was 480?
No, because it's just going to sit there. It's not doing anything. So the best thing to do would be just to reutilize that later on.
For someone else, okay.
Right. That would be the easiest thing to do.
Perfect. Do you
have
any other examples that we can look at? One of the newer people, maybe? He's working on the directory totally separate. Do you want to show her how the directory really just pulls from their name in here, right? Isn't that what we talked about last time, Eric? When you add their name here?
Yes. So so here I'm going to click on my name up at the top. I'm going to go to my account, and then I'm going to go in and I'm going to see the contacts that I've got listed here. And I believe that Jeff is working on getting it set up so that you guys can control this yourself, you know, internally. But this is your contacts screen. And by the way, this is what a regular basic user would see. They wouldn't see all the stuff that we saw before. And in order to add a contact, just click on Add Contact, and it will let you add a new contact here by putting their information in.
So if they're already there and it says like user 290, can we just click it and change it to that person's name?
Yes. Now, the extensions here, this will be automatically populated from the Users tab. So if we went into the Users and we changed Mark's, we changed his 148 to, I'm seeing mine here. I don't see yours because I clicked on my own user profile. But if Mark left and someone took extension 148, it will automatically show the new name here on the contacts list.
So we have 3 users, extension 290, 291, and 292, that have no names associated.
No names associated with it. Okay.
Which is weird to me. Is that because they're not currently in use, or is it a
I'll have to look and see. It might be just being used for programming. So let's take a look at 290. This is just generic. Obviously, it just says user. Right here. Yes, please. Yeah, I'll tell them I'll be there in a minute if you don't mind. One guy, thank you. Okay, sorry guys, I had my guest show up for my 3 o'clock. So no phones have been added to this one. Let's look at the voicemail to see if maybe there's a forward, and there's not. Let's see if there's any answering rules. Yeah, I mean, there's no, this was just set up as maybe a dummy extension for something. I mean, we can leave it in here. It's not hurting anything. You're not paying for it.
Next time we get someone, do we use that?
Well, we would want to come in here and put under the phones, we would add, I don't think you're going to have add phone as an option.
Oh, gotcha.
So we would have to come in and add the phone, but we could just, if you wanted to use extension 290 because it kind of falls in line with your extension numbering scheme, then that would be a really good option.
Okay.
You could just reutilize 290 since it doesn't look like it's being used for anything.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see any programming or anything done here. So at some point in time, 290 was created for some reason. It might have been in the initial spreadsheet load that we did. Who knows?
What was that, Lisa?
His shows user.
I don't know why it's not. Well, because I was on something different, I think. I don't.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay. So any other questions? I mean, is there anything I didn't cover?
One thing that I just want to be sure that I'm 100% on is the 0 to sell. Can you show me where you set that up again?
So you're going into the person's account.
Sorry, to log into your own extension?
No, like, let me see who doesn't have it. Roxanne Stanford, she doesn't have 0 to transfer, or 0 to sell.
Oh, 0 to sell. Roxanne, you said?
Yes.
Okay. There is an extension for her cell, but you're saying she does not have a 0 out. So let's look under the voicemail tab. So I just clicked on her name, and we'll go to voicemail here.
Okay.
And there is a 0 out to her cell phone.
Why is her operator for 4299, but her extension is 233?
I don't know why they created 4299, but I mean, that's just may have been a random creation. They may not have been trying to keep it the same, but that's nobody's going to call the 4299, so that doesn't have any really consequence.
Okay. And then another person I was having a hard time with it actually sticking, like she recorded her voicemail, but it didn't stick. And when you went to go call her extension or her direct line, it went straight to an automated voicemail instead of her voicemail.
So it sounds like the number of dials, the number of rings.
Well, she's got two. Yeah, she has 2 greetings here. So right now it's set for her second greeting, and we can play that. Okay, it says, this is Roxanne. I'm currently working out of the office. Press 0 to go to my cell phone.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's what hers is. If you want to come in and re-record it, you just click on Manage.
Okay. That's what I'll do too.
It has something to do also with the number of rings, Eric, because if...
Yes.
Yeah. So does that show somewhere on here? Because if they're getting that auto attendant versus getting her voice, it has something to do with the number of rings.
It does. So when you go to, when we go to look at 4299, the number of rings will determine whether it hits her cell phone voicemail or whether it hits the, or whether it lets her leave a voicemail back in the voicemail box on her office extension. So if the number of rings for 4299 is set shorter than her voicemail box on her cell phone, it won't hit her cell phone voicemail.
Where do you see that? I'm in 4299 on mine, but I don't.
When you're in the forwarding rules, what you'll do is you'll click on under answering rules. It's on the left-hand side. It's set for 5 rings for 25 seconds.
Got it.
Can we look at Jade Garza?
Sure. Jake.
Jade.
Oh, Jade. Okay. You're a little further away, so it's harder to hear. Sorry.
Okay.
Why does it say password required?
I don't remember. I don't know why it. I don't know why it says that. I'll have to ask one of my technicians.
Okay.
But
can we look to see how many rings she has?
She doesn't have a
zero
transfer.
I know.
So this is. So it's going to ring at her extension for 180 seconds. So it's going to ring her phone on her desk for 180 seconds.
We changed that?
That's a lot. Yeah. Yeah, I've never seen anybody set. Normally 25 seconds, which is 5 rings.
Okay.
Yeah, and then that should save it. See, it says updated ring for 25 seconds.
Okay.
All righty.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. So what I'm going to do is